The Book of Esther, based on the Old Testaments. From his royal throne in Persia's capital city of Susa, King Xerxes ruled 127 provinces, all the way from India to Ethiopia. In the third year of his reign, he gave a banquet for all his officials and administrators. The armies of Persia and Media were present, as well as the governors and noblemen of the provinces. For 6 whole months she made a show of the riches of the imperial court, with all its splendor and majesty. After that, the king gave a banquet for all the people in the capital city of Susa, rich and poor alike. It lasted a whole week and was held in the gardens of the royal palace. The courtyard there was decorated with blue and white cotton curtain, tied by cords of fine purple linen to silver rings on marble columns. Couches made of gold and silver had been placed in the courtyard, which was paved with white marble, red feldspar, shining mother of pearl, and blue turquoise. Drinks were served in gold cups, no two of them alike, and the king's was generous with the royal wine. There were no limits on the drinks. The king had given orders to the palace servants that everyone could have as much as they wanted. Meanwhile, inside the royal palace, Queen Vashti was giving a banquet for the women. On the 7th day of the banquet, the king was drinking and feeling happy, so he called in the 7 eunuchs who were his personal servants: Mehuman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, Abagtha, Zethar, and Carcass. He ordered them to bring in Queen Vashti, wearing her royal crown. The queen was a beautiful woman, and the king wanted to show off her beauty to the officials and all his guests. But when the servants told Queen Vashti of the king's command, she refused to come. This made the king furious. Now it was the king's custom to ask for expert opinion on questions of law and order, so he called for his advisors, who would know what should be done. Those he most often turned to for advice were Karshena, Shethar, Admatha, Tarshish, Meres, Marsena, and Memucan, 7 officials of Persia and Media, who held the highest offices in the kingdom. He said to these men, I, King Xerxes, sent my servant to Queen Vashti with a command, and she refused to obey it. What does the law say that we should do with her? Then Memucan declared to the king and the officials, Queen Vashti has insulted not only the king but also his officials. In fact, every man in the empire, every woman in the empire will start looking down on her husband as soon as she hears what the queen has done. They'll say, King Xerxes commanded Queen Vashti to come to him, and she refused. When the wives of the royal officials of Persia and Media hear about the queen's behavior, they will be telling their husbands about it before the day is out. Wives everywhere will have no respect for their husbands, and the husband will be angry with their wives. If it please your majesty, issue a royal proclamation that Vashti may never again appear before the king. Have it written into the laws of Persia and Media so that it can never be changed. Then give her place as queen to some better woman. When your proclamations is made known all over this huge empire, every woman will treat her husband with proper respect, whether he's rich or poor. The king and his officials liked this idea, and the king did what Memucan suggested. To each of the royal provinces he sent a message in the language and the system of writing of that province, saying that every husband should be the master of his home and speak with the final authority. Later, even after the king's anger had cooled down, he kept thinking about what Vashti had done and about his proclamation against her. So some of the king's advisors who were close to him suggested, why don't you make a search to find some beautiful young virgins? You can appoint officials in every province of the empire and have them bring all these beautiful young women to your harem here. In Susa, the capital city. Put them in the care of Higai, the eunuch who is in charge of your women, and let them be given a beauty treatment. Then take the young woman you like best and make her queen in Vashti's place. The king thought this was good advice, so he followed it. There in Susa lived a Jew named Mordecai, son of Jair. He was from the tribe of Benjamin and was a descendant of Kish and Shimei. When King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon took King Jehoiakim of Judah into exile from Jerusalem, along with the group of captives, Mordecai was among them. He had a cousin, Esther, whose Hebrew name was Hadassah. She was a beautiful young woman and had a good figure. At the death of her parents, Mordecai had adopted her and brought her up as his own daughter. When the king had issued his new proclamation and many young women were being brought to Susa, Esther was among them. She too was put in the royal palace in the care of Haggai, who had in charge of the harem. Haggai liked Esther, and she won his favor. He lost no time in beginning her beauty, treatment of massage and special diet. He gave her the best place in the harem, and assigned 7 young women, specially chosen from the royal palace, to serve her. Now, on the advice of Mordecai, Esther had kept it secret that she was Jewish. Every day Mordecai would walk back and forth of the courtyard of the harem, in order to find out how she was getting along, and what was going to happen to her. The regular beauty treatment for the women lasted a year, massages with oil of myrrh for 6 months, and with oil of balsam for 6 more. After that, each woman would be taken in turn to King Xerxes. When she went from the harem to the palace, she could wear whatever she wanted. She would go there in the evening, and the next morning, she would be taken to another harem and put in the care of Shashgaz, the eunuch in charge of the king's concubines. She would not go to the king again unless he liked her enough to ask for her by name. The time came for Esther to go to the king. Esther, the daughter of Abihail and the cousin of Mordecai, who had adopted her as his daughter. Esther admired by everyone who saw her. When her turn came, she wore just what Haggai, the eunuch in charge of the harem, advised her to wear. So in Xerxes' 7th year as a king, in the 10th month, the month of Tebeth, Esther was brought to King Xerxes in the royal palace. The king liked her more than any of the other women, and more than any of the others, she won his favor and affection. He placed the royal crown on her head, and made her queen in place of Vashti. Then the king gave a great banquet in Esther's honor, and invited all his officials and administrator. He proclaimed a holiday for the whole empire, and distributed gifts worthy of a king. And that's made Esther the queen of Persia, in replace of Queen Vashti. For you who watched this video, what was the lesson you've learned from this story? Please comment down below. And thank you for watching.